Untouchable, that's the word. And if you want to understand what avoidant men think about love and commitment, start there. They want to be untouchable, not because they despise touch, but because they've learned painfully that touch can burn. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. The title of today's reflection is What Avoidant Men Think About Love and Commitment. And no, it's not what you think. We're not talking about men who run because they're heartless. We're talking about men who run because they've been scorched. You see, I've met these men. Hell, I've been one. They're not statues made of stone. They're fortresses built of scars. Let me tell you a story. Years ago, I knew a man. Tall, broad-shouldered, smart as the devil and twice as cautious. He built businesses like a watchmaker. Precise, efficient, without waste. But love was chaos to him. It was like watching a chess master walk into a carnival. Too loud, too unpredictable, too many moving parts that didn't make sense. He told me once, sitting across from me with a glass of whiskey he hadn't touched, "Tony," he said, "every time someone's told me they loved me, it felt like a trap. Like suddenly I'm expected to hand over the keys to my castle and smile while they rearrange the furniture. And here's the kicker, he wasn't wrong to be wary, because commitment for avoidant men is not a doorway, it's a battlefield. They've seen too much of the wrong kind of love that bites, binds, betrays. So when they meet real affection, genuine interest, the first instinct is not to lean in. It's to flinch. Now let me be clear. Avoidant men do love. Deeply, wildly, more fiercely than anyone suspects. But they love like wolves. Quietly, protectively. From a distance at first. They don't write poems. They build homes. They don't whisper sweet nothings. They make sure you're warm, safe, and no one's coming through the door at night. That's their language. And if you don't speak it, you might think they don't care. But they do. Oh, how they do. Here's something most people don't realize. An avoidant man's love is a negotiation with fear. Every day he stays, every conversation he engages in, is a deliberate, grinding decision not to bolt. Not because he doesn't want to love, but because he's terrified that loving means losing control. To him, love is a risk report. Where are the weaknesses? Where are the liabilities? He's not being cold. He's calculating if he can keep you and himself safe at the same time. Let's talk about commitment. For an avoidant man, commitment is not a warm hug and a shared Netflix password. It's signing a mental contract that says, "I'll bleed before I break this." That's how seriously he takes it. That's why he's slow, why he hesitates. Because once he signs, it's for life. And if you betray him, if you pull the rug after he's taken off his boots and put down his sword, you won't hear a scream. You'll hear silence. And then nothing at all. Avoidant men don't rage. They vanish. Let me tell you another story. There was this woman, years ago, beautiful and bright-eyed. She loved a man who couldn't say, "I love you," unless there was a fire in the room. She wanted declarations, poems, dancing in the rain. He wanted quiet dinners, the bills paid, and her car tires rotated on schedule. She thought he didn't care, but he was loving her in the only way he knew, by preparing for every storm she'd never see. One day, she left, said, "You never let me in." And he stood there, stunned, holding a life he built for her like a wrapped gift never opened. That's the tragedy of avoidant love. It's often invisible until it's too late. But here's the hope. Because yes, there is hope. Avoidant men can change. Not by therapy alone, not by books or motivational speakers. They change through trust and time and consistent kindness. Not pity, kindness. The kind that says, I see your scars, but I won't use them against you. You want to know when an avoidant man loves you. He tells you something he's never told anyone. He shows you a project he's halfway through. He lets you into his silence. He watches you sleep and doesn't feel trapped by the weight of another life in his home. And when he doesn't run, that's it. The greatest confession of love from an avoidant man is that he stays. Every instinct says run. Every ghost from his past says, she'll turn on you too. But he anchors himself and says, not this time. It's not flowers and serenades. It's presence. Quiet, heavy, defiant presence. So what can you do if you love an avoidant man? Don't try to crack him open like a safe. That won't work. He's not hiding treasure. He's guarding wounds. Instead, become the calm in his chaos. Speak his language. Respect his rhythms. Invite him to share. Don't demand it. Be patient. But don't abandon yourself either. He's not the only one who matters. The avoidant man isn't broken. He's trained. Conditioned by a life that taught him survival first, connection later, if at all. But love, real love, it doesn't scream at the gates. It waits at the threshold, warm, steady, and unthreatening. That's the test. And if he lets you in, you will have found something rare, a man who chose to love not by default, but by deliberate, courageous choice. A man who faced the beast in his heart and decided you were worth the risk. Now that is love worth having.
If you believe this video might help someone dear to you, share it with them. A small gesture on your part could mean the world to a friend in need.